Hey, what is up everybody? Today we got a fun one for you at the DMD Tone Zone number 2. This is actually Chris's spot. This is Mike, he's gonna be our guitar player and we're gonna rock and roll. We're gonna go through a bunch of cabs. What do we got? We got like some Driftwood stuff. We got a Rivera, we got a Butcher, and then we got like an MD4 280. What do we got here? This is a Fender
American 50th anniversary. EMGs.
Those are the headset, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hip shot bridge.
So yeah, Mike is going to be doing some badass riffs on that, and we're just going to go through some cabs. We'll probably play with some of the amps here. We're not going to go crazy with it, but thought we'd go ahead and give you guys a little bit of that. So let's check this out. All right, so for the amps, we're definitely going to be using JVM. We got an ENGL Savage Mk1, a Mesa Triple rectifier, and a Bogner Uber Ultra. This is the amp, for me at least. This is the amp. Chris is going to introduce us to the actual speakers that are in these cabs. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what's in this guy?
The MF280 Marshall is an X pattern. There's a DV77 here.
Okay.
K85 on that side.
85. So we got E609 on that guy.
Yep. And
then we're doing the Butcher over here.
On the Butcher, we got K85s all the way around. It's a 1989 Butcher, original cab.
All right. SM57 there.
And on this Driftwood cab, it's an X pattern. And originally, this is a Creamback, and over here we have a tube amp Doctor special anniversary V60 on this side. Apparently
those are very special. Well, let me ask you, this one down here on the bottom right, is that a TAD as well?
Yeah, so you got a Creamback, you got a TAD, and a TAD.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll probably go through those two. And then we got the Rivera as well, which
is all V30s.
And these are UKs, right?
They are.
Okay, so that we got SM57 on that. I think that'll work out. So we got E609 on the Driftwood, and we're gonna rock out on these guys. All right, look at this stuff, man. It's just like I'm a little kid in a candy shop. This is like Toys R Us. For those of you old enough to know what a Toys R Us is. I used to love that place. Oh, yeah. It's just like, dude, look at all the damn toys. I was like, action figures. You know, even my kids don't even play with action figures anymore. It's like, that's the thing of the past. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about here. We got this Mode 4 cab, Butcher, a Rivera, and this Driftwood. We particularly picked this Driftwood just because it has a lot more low end. This one, and I don't remember, can you tell me what speakers were in this guy?
Yeah, we went with
this top one.
T75 vintage, and it's got the original tube amp Doctor special V60s in it. Okay,
so those are okay. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, I swapped the Creambacks out for the vintage T75s.
Okay, so yeah, in the room, this one definitely, even though it's not on the ground, and I get a little more low end when it's on the ground, but
very bright when it's up.
Yeah. The Creambacks and the TAD V30s, that's a freaking awesome combination.
It's a massive sound, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that was like, oh, we definitely got to put that in the video. All right, so we already went through all the mics and all the speakers and all the gear that we're going to use, and we're going to have Mike rip on some riffs today for us. Where should we start? We're on the JVM right now, right? Since okay, I guess I didn't tell you guys, but just like the last video, we got this little D-Liesel, it's not little, it's actually a 8 and 8, 8 by 8. So 8 speakers. Unfortunately, we're not going to do all the speakers on this one, okay? I got 4 mics. We're going to use those 4 mics. We're going to run through those guys and just see what they sound like. We might move the mic over to the other speaker just to get a feel for that too. But other than that, you can have 8 amps and 8 speakers on this guy. Right now we're on the JVM and we're on the Butcher. So let's go ahead and start. Mike, why don't you go ahead and give us a few riffs. Doesn't matter what it is. This is running EMGs, so there's no overdrive on it, except for a noise gauge just to kind of help out with all the grounding and all that kind of stuff. So. What song is that, by the way?
The Floating Head, King Diamond.
Floating Head, King Diamond. See, this dude knows way more riffs than I would ever. So it's kind of nice to have somebody else doing the guitar, because I feel like I'm doing the same riffs now. So I would have never picked a King Diamond riff, and I'm glad he's got one for me. So there's the Butcher. Let's kind of go through the cabs and just kind of see what that sounds like. So next, let's go over to the Rivera. You know, hold on. Let's go back to the Butcher and do that riff one more time. This definitely has that like Marshall tendency of having that a little more fizzy top ends for me personally. Like back when I had, you know, over at the other video, I had my Marshall, and that had the, no, it was T75s actually, that one. But there's just like this top end to the Marshall kind of cabs that has it. But these are the K85s. I like that. I would bet that mixing this guy with this guy would be an awesome sound. That is not something we can do on this video. Maybe if he's really good with his timing, maybe I can edit it in and have both of them playing. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know, it sounds pretty damn good. All right, so let's go back to Rivera again. Let's hear that. So what I did is actually, I have Chris over here, he has headphones on, and the lavalier picks up everything in the room. So now all he hears is the actual guitars and not me talking, because God forbid. All right, but the Rivera has a deeper sound to it to my ears. This is really cool because I get to just stand here and just let them play the riffs, and I get to listen and enjoy it. With this, it's definitely lower end, maybe a little mid forward, where the Butcher has a lot more top end, but it still has the low end on the Butcher. And Chris, you said this was an original 85 Butcher cab.
K85s.
Okay.
Made in England.
So that's like a real deal old school.
Yeah, that's before they made the K100, and that's the K85, same thing basically.
Okay. All right, so now that we kind of got a good ear for those two, let's go ahead and do the Driftwood. All right, we're back on. We got another hour. So the last thing we did the Driftwood. And I'm actually going to switch through them pretty quick. And I know Chris looks at me. He kind of gives me that eye whenever I switch them like that. Where's my little piece of paper? There it is. There we go. Cheat sheet. Got my cheat sheet. Oh, by the way, this is what we have going if any of you guys are interested in if I say one or two or whatever. So that's what we got. So what I'll do is I'll kind of, while he's playing this riff, I'll kind of run through the Driftwood Rivera and the Butcher pretty quick. Now you might hear another cab while I'm switching through them because it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's go ahead and do the Driftwood again. All right, cool. That's good. So, all right. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go through the MF280. Let's go ahead and listen to that. Since we've already listened to everything here, let's go over to that guy and see what that sounds like. So now we're on the MF280 with the E609. Between that, what is your favorite?
Rivera always stands out here. The Driftwood has that really nice low punch to it.
Yeah.
Butcher. I like the Butcher too. I feel like I'm always positioned in the wrong place to really hear it good though. So the Rivera definitely, I think having that angled cab also helps a lot.
Yeah,
It's
that
more in your
might
face.
be, yeah.
But for me, I like really bright tones, and that one does a lot.
That's funny because my guitar player, he's always like, you're the one that always like the bright tones and stuff. So it's funny whenever I come over here and you're like, no, just go up more. And I'm like sitting there like going up like, wait, more? You're like, yeah, more. But yeah, it's so funny because, you know, even though you guys are listening to this, everybody has their own taste and flavor for all this kind of stuff. But this kind of gives you an idea of the variety that you can have with guitar and mics and the guitar player playing the amps and all that stuff. And if I've not already said it, we are playing through the JVM. I think I did. But I'll let you guys know when we go to the other one. So we'll do that next. Let's go to another amp. Which one do you think we should do now?
What if for a change of pace we go to the Mesa?
Okay.
Because I think the Bogner and the JVM are definitely more similar than the Mesa. So we could go to the Mesa and then go to the Bogner, and then get to a point where we like to swap amps and cabs back and forth a lot.
Yeah, it's a mess whenever we leave doing this kind of stuff. It's just like, I don't even know what sounds good anymore, man. It just all jumbles up in my head, at least, you know. So let's go ahead and do the Mesa. One thing about the Mesa is we do have a overdrive in front. It's the Direwolf. And I've already kind of dialed that in. We kind of already dialed all these amps in just for a good standing to my ear. But not to say that that is the best setting for all these amps. So let's go ahead and go over to the Mesa. Let's see, that one is 6. Okay. Now on the Mesa, it is overdriven. None of the other amps are overdriven. We got it right in front of this amp. Even though we have an amp selector situation going on, we just put it right in front of the amp so it doesn't affect all the others. Because obviously, the Mesas definitely need an overdrive in front of it. All right, let's go ahead and get some riffs in. So right now, actually, we're on, let's see, 6, which is the Marshall Mode 4. Now let's go over to the Driftwood. I like the way that sounds with the Mesa, because we were doing this before, and it sounded pretty fizzy with everything else. And I'm betting that we do this with the Butcher, it's going to sound really fizzy. You know, just with that really top end stuff. You know, because Mesa's got the scoop mids, the top end, and the low end. So let's go over to the Driftwood, which is a really thick sounding kind of cab. So let's go there.
That sounds killer.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Before we go on, let's go back over to the, because I do like this one too. Okay. Dude.
They have very similar top ends.
Yeah.
But that's got a lot more low end punch to it.
Yeah, it's rounder on this guy.
Yeah.
Let's do the Driftwood. Yeah. Okay. Huh. This cab is a beautiful thing. Chris did a good job on this one, man. Hey, where'd you go to get this one?
North Carolina.
So we're in Georgia, somewhere in Georgia, but he went out to North Carolina to pick up this stack, and what a killer stack. And I think this is a signature. Who's the guy? Do you know?
Ben Kennedy or something like that.
Okay, that looks like a backwards B in a Ford K. Okay, cool. But this whole setup is killer, and I love it. For this one, I particularly love this one just because it has just so much low end on this guy. I really do like this one too, and it sounded really good with the Mesa. I feel like this one would cut through the mix a little bit more, whereas this one you do a certain kind of sound for this guy. You like get the impact, the punch for that kind of thing. All right, so let's go over to the Rivera. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, I love that you play old man's child stuff, man. Like that's dear to my heart, and that's why we're friends. But yeah, so that sounded really good too. Definitely a different flavor. All right, so now we got that in our heads. So let's go over to the Butcher and just hear what that sounds like. There we go, Butcher. Even with that low end, it sounded pretty good. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It is top and heavy, but wait, is that do you like this more than the others? Since you like higher stuff?
Right now, I'm still leaning towards the Driftwood.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Well, I like all I like high end and I like low end too. So
It's like I feel like this Mode 4 is kind of like middle of the ground, where this is the alternate middle of the ground, and obviously this Driftwood's got the low end, and this one's got comparably, it's just got the high end, but it's got a very nice low end too. And obviously this is not going to translate perfectly to what we're hearing in the room to what you guys are hearing in the mics. So with that amp, let's go through them all pretty quick, and just kind of, I'll point to which one we're on. So let's go ahead and start off with the Butcher, and then I'll have him play some riffs, and then I'll just go through them. I'm leaning towards this.
The DB77?
Yeah. So question, Chris, because you have the headphones on.
Yeah.
That's a totally different sound.
Absolutely.
But we just went through all those 4 cabs. What can you say about these guys?
Creamback is the most rounded and most massive for sure. The DB77 sounds good, and like you said, the Rivera is a little bit on the low end, but it's really good in room. It's really full in the room.
Right. And you know, that also might be because of the mic placement too. I did try to work around trying to find the best spot to get even ground with all this stuff. It's kind of hard to say sometimes though. But where does the Mode 4 sit?
The Mode 4 sits real good. I like the X pattern, the way that it worked out on there. I think it fits the oversized cab good.
I need to get one of these.
The vintage voice, the Marshall voiced B30s that were in there for the MF were dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it needed.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about that. You know, it's kind of funny. You know, you have some good friends and they have all this gear, and you go and hang out with them and play their guitars and amps, and you're like, hey man, I got this amp and guitar. You know, I sit my amps on the rack, and, you know, they call me Evil Devin because I bring gear over and they're like, that sounds pretty good. Maybe I'll buy that. But no, it's all fun. I encourage everybody to have friends to like hang out, do tone war kind of stuff, and it's just, I don't know, it's something that, you know, us adults can, our kids and all that stuff too. You know, you guys can get together and figure out some cool tones. We love doing it.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is our thing, man. We do that. We drink a beer. We go get some wings and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that was the Mesa. And that's what I'll kind of do, is I'll go to the next amp now, and then we'll just go through the 4 amps, and then we'll just call it. I know we got Chris on the headphones over there, so he has a totally different perspective on this, and we'll just kind of, at the very end, just kind of say what we think about this stuff. All right, so now let's go to the Savage. All right, we'll go to the ENGL Savage. Let's see, that one's on 3. All right. I expect this to be a totally different situation. Right now we're on the Marshall MF280. Let's go ahead and see what it sounds like. Dude, that sounds good. Damn. All of us, by the way, all of us just went, yeah, that sounds fucking good. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to the Driftwood. It just got better.
Yeah. Holy
yeah, it just got better, dude. And you know, like with the headphones, are you
fantastic with the headphones? You could hear it night and day between the two, and option A was already fantastic. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, out here in the room, that was really good when we first heard it. It had some kind of grit about it that was awesome. And then you hit this one, it's like it punches. And granted, we don't have this like super loud. We do have a power station attenuating it some, but we are pushing the power tubes on all these amps for anyone who cares. So let's go ahead and go over to the Rivera. That's 2. What I picked up as soon as you start playing that is that this is the cab that you would want to put in a mix. Like, it doesn't have too much low end. It sits in a good mid-range, and it has just enough bite.
Definitely cut through a mix.
Yeah. I think that would be the amp to be, or the cab to just be like, okay, I want something really quick and just run it through. This is the cab. You would probably have to do a good bit of work on the Driftwood for sure, but it just sounds so good in the room. If you can capture that, like ribbon mics and all that kind of stuff, that'd be awesome. And this one, I still like this one a lot. But going from this to that, I was just like, damn.
What about that to that? The Rivera to the Marshall.
To the Marshall, let's do that. So go ahead and play a couple riffs. Dude, what the hell? What the hell? I don't know, man. You're sitting right in front of it.
Yeah. Rivera all day. Marshall sounds great.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a volume, and maybe I'm not sitting directly in front of the Marshall, but a little bit of a volume jump, but also just that high-end bites there.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, so we have to take this with a grain of salt because Mike likes the really high-end stuff. For me personally, you know, like it's maybe a lot more people like that frequency. For me, I like it a little, I guess, in the middle. I guess you like low-end, don't you?
I like low end, yeah.
That's
Well,
interesting.
I do too, though.
Right. So you like the accompaniment of...
I like a full spectrum of everything. I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
But that felt like it's got more just low end to it.
Yeah.
The palm mutes kind of lasted a little longer on that.
Let's do that right quick. Do some palm mutes. I'm going to go back and forth between them. the palm mutes on this one. They're both awesome. I mean, they're both awesome.
They're both good, yeah.
I mean, shit.
There's really no wrong answer.
No, there's not. Let's go over to the butcher, see what that sounds like. I'm lost. And I bet everybody, you know, watching is lost too.
Well, even with monitors on, it's a lot. There's no bad tone. There's just a lot of variance in tone.
We got one more amp to go through, and that is the Bogner. Yeah, I bet everybody's waiting for this one, right? I absolutely love this amp, and it does need a little tweaking to get into it, but it's something it's a learning curve. But when you get there, it's like, ooh. Let's go ahead and hop over to there. So that's
3,
4.
I'll try to move Savage.
There you go. All right, so right now we're on the MF480. Let's give it a shot. It's a totally different feel than everything we've done.
Absolutely. Seems more mid-forward, maybe?
Yeah. Huh. Let's go ahead and go over to the Driftwood. Oh, yeah. I don't know. That combination. I like that combination. I don't think it's as loud as the others. Let me just kind of, there we go. There. I haven't heard a bad tone yet.
You almost think one will fall in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Rivera. 2. All right. Chris, what are you hearing in the headphones?
On the headphones on that round, the DB77 came in last for me. It was a little dark. It was a little muffled.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds like a dark amp at the moment with it dialed in the way it is.
But in the room, I would say if we combine both of those together,
The Rivera and the Driftwood, that's the sauce.
I agree, yeah.
You have the low end.
Rivera gives a little high end.
Yeah.
you got the higher end from the Rivera and the low end punch from the Driftwood, and the bite from the Rivera too.
Oh man, is this adult? Is this what adulting is? All right, let's go over to the butcher, and we'll kind of go through those really quick. And the last thing I'll do is I'll go through each of these amps with the cab that we choose out of everything that we've done, and we'll just kind of pick the middle of the ground, and then we'll go through all the amps. All right, so let's go over to the butcher. Let's listen to that. What the hell? What the hell? Dude, that sounds awesome.
That really does sound great in ear too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That kind of blew me away.
Out of all the amps we played, that one sounds, for the butchering cab,
The Bogner.
it sounded the best out of all the amps out of that cab.
And I also think that this was the darkest amp, settings wise. Now, obviously we can boost up the presence, but just knowing that in the room that we kind of hear it, it's definitely darker. Using a darker amp with these K85s really shines. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was.
I would even say that I would prefer that over all of them. I know. That's where I stand with it. But let's go through it all. Let you guys pick. You guys tell me. Let's do the butcher again. I don't know, man. They all sound awesome because it's the Uber Ultra, right? Now, in that one moment in the Driftwood, I did turn up the treble just to kind of see how that would play, and it did really well. Personally, I think so. When I did that, and I did bring it back, so I just did it for that one little section. I don't know. I think this only stands out to me just because it has the top end, because we're running this a little dark. I think that's what's going on. And it's a lot of tone, man. A lot of tone.
And we're not done yet.
No, we got one more thing that we're going to do. So for this one, I think we got to come together and kind of figure out what we're going to do with this. We're going to go through all these amps with the settings that are already on it. But of these cabs, which one do we want to use? For all the amps.
I think they all sounded great. Well, through everything. I think top two are those.
The Driftwood? Okay. Okay.
As far as being mixed through all amps, yeah, being a happy middle ground.
Yeah.
So we can do both of the cabs. We can go back and forth. We'll go through those. And then we'll do like one set of the Rivera and then one set of the Driftwood. So we're not too far apart. Okay, we'll do that. We'll start with the Rivera. Let's go to 2. And let's go back to the JVM. And what I'll do is I'll go JVM, Savage, Bogner, and then Mesa, just because I have it set up this way. Okay. And we're going through the Rivera. Let's go ahead and do it. So JVM through the Rivera. It sounds like this one needs more gain.
Yeah.
It's on the modern mode. So this whole time it's been on modern. I typically like to use vintage, but I know a lot of people like modern, so that's why I chose that one. The gain is at like 2 o'clock or 1:30 or so. So it's pushing it, and we got this Direwolf pushing it as well. So I'm surprised that it's comparably, it's still having a hard time keeping up with all the gain structure for these other amps. Let's go through that again pretty quickly. I'm going to go backwards this time. So we'll start with the Mesa, Bogner, Savage, and then JVM. So let's give it a shot. I don't know, man. I was kind of leaning toward the JVM. Yeah, I don't want to say that because it's the oddball. Yeah? Huh?
They all sound good.
Yeah.
They all do sound good, yes. This one is lacking a little bit of gain. This one's got the most gain, I think. The gain's around like 130 as well. No overdrives on front of these.
Now, right?
Yes, on the lead channel. And for this one, I don't even know what you would call this.
It's
It-
the lead channel.
It's okay. Lead channel, and is the boost is not on board. Yeah, it's in the Doom mode, so it has a lot more low end, and it's in Ultra, so it's definitely the higher gain bit of this amp with low end. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to Driftwood and see what that sounds like. And we'll start with the JVM again, and then I'll go JVM, Savage, Bogner, and Mesa. Let's do it. You know, when you put a Mesa up against all these, it's my least favorite.
Fell a little short to me.
Yeah?
For me on that round, it was the Savage and the Bogner.
I was gonna say Savage was the top for me.
Yeah.
Hey, why y'all hating them? I'm just kidding. No, it's yeah. I mean, it's a tough one now. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go through all these really quick, and then we'll call it. Thank you guys for sticking around for this one. This is an opportunity. I brought the studio over here so we can do this, and I've always loved coming over to Chris's spot, and me and Mike come over here, and we just kind of like, oh man, he's got all these awesome amps and stuff. But we'll go through these really quick, and then we'll just call it. All right. So right now we're still on a Driftwood, and we are on the Mesa, and then I'll go backwards. So it'll be the Mesa, then the Bogner, Savage, and then JVM. Right now I'm lost. Like with everything that we've listened to, it's really hard now. Where do I stand? And this is what always happens to me, at least. We go through so much, and it just opens up a door. When you get an amp selector, and you start building on that, then you just, what is it? What do I like anymore? Like I don't know. Well, I hope this was beneficial for you guys. We love doing this kind of stuff, so I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? What is y'all's takeaway? We have Chris on the headphones. We got Mike here playing the guitar. What is y'all's favorite?
It was harder to. I was concentrating more on playing during this last few rounds here, but from what I could tell, it seemed like the ENGL came out on top for me.
The ENGL?
It seemed like it just had that saturation and just kind of overall, I don't know, balanced tone to it. The Bogner came in second to me. It did feel darker, and that's kind of why it ranked the way it did. The JVM I noticed on that last round, it felt really kind of boxy.
I thought so too, especially the last round.
Yeah, just seemed like it was, I don't know.
It came through on here too.
And then the Mesa, yeah, just kind of lacking something, some drive or, now, you know, I'm not as familiar with Mesas as you are, but I think normally we play it in raw mode, or vintage mode, right? Vintage. Which...
There's more gain on the modern mode, for sure. And it's supposed to push the mids a little bit more. And it sounds a little quackier for me. In vintage mode, it just sounds like what a Mesa sounds like, what it should sound like to my ears, is typically what I think of it. So, you're leaning towards a Savage with what cab?
I think it's a tie between the Driftwood and the Rivera.
Yeah.
At times, the Driftwood or the Rivera felt a little scratchy. Maybe as I was doing some of the low end, like just like triplet kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the bite is great, and then the Driftwood has the low end, nice pronounced low end. And then I guess it kind of feels like it's lacking a little more in the upper mids and highs. But it still has nice in-room presence.
Now, one thing we didn't do is we didn't go over to the TAD V30s, which I think this is a long enough video, but if you guys are really interested, maybe we'll come back and do this again sometime. Oh, you tell me. Chris, what is your thoughts?
My thoughts as far as head, I think it would go to the Savage, and I'm with Mike. Bogner would come second, and then probably the JVM next, and then the Mesa, surprisingly, is last for me. It wasn't very dynamic.
And we are boosting it too, so it has a little help. So it's supposed to cut those low end a little bit to, kind of push it some. So, which is surprising that it's ranking. I would have thought the Mesa would be over the JVM, but I'm with you guys on that.
As far as cabs in room, typically when I'm playing Savage, most of the time it would be that Rivera Cab, the Driftwood, or the JCM 800 cab, 900 cab. Yeah.
Okay. And that's T75s in there.
Yeah, T75s. If you're going for the 80s sound, the Marshall T75 cab is definitely the way to go.
Oh yeah, for sure. So what is your favorite one on this between the four that we did? Yeah.
It would be the Driftwood or the Rivera.
Okay.
Both are pretty well rounded. Just the Rivera a little bit higher, and then the Driftwood, the Creamback, would just be more rounded. It's just it's more balanced, but very massive.
And again, remember he's had the headphones on for most of this, And this is what he's picking up on this stuff too. So, you know, so for Chris, it's the ENGL and the mix between these two. And for you, it's the ENGL and the mix between these two as well. Interesting. I think for me, I do have to hand it to the ENGL for being the top. But if I dialed in this Bogner, I would have, I don't know, maybe I'm partial to it. I don't know. But I love this thing. And I know if I dialed this in, this would be on top for me. And I personally, just because of a different flavor, I like this cab. I think there's a lot to be worked with on this. And you can dial any amp for any of these cabs, right? But I think I would go for the Bogner and the M480 with DV77 and K85s. That I love that blend, by the way. That's a killer blend. Like the DV77 with the low end there, and then the K85s just to push that nice sizzle. And compared with these, I feel like this is on the darker end, and this one is the more forward end with the Rivera, from my point of view. Okay. All right, I think that was enough. That's enough tone for all of us, right? So I want to thank Mike over here for doing the riffs. Dude, you did a killer job on that, man. This is why you do this stuff, man. And then we got Chris over here. He's hanging out in the back. What are you doing over there?
I got the easy job today.
And the headphones. All right. You guys got any questions? Oh, yeah. Like and freaking subscribe, man. DMD out. I won't have Chris go through all the guitars he has, but damn, there's some awesome guitars over here. Bam. All right. We're going to put a neck lamp on so we can see this. All right, yeah, you see that? I got a neck lamp. All right, so we got, I'm not even gonna go through what these guitars are, but they are freaking awesome. And if you have a question about one, I'm sure Chris in the comments can give you a little bit more detail on them. Kiesel, LTD. Hey, there's that LTD you were talking about. Hell yeah. I just noticed that. So those guys, Charvels. And the Ibanez Kramer. That LTD. Look at that Fender. That's all Japanese, my friend. Yeah, look at this thing. This I love that, the Destroyer. But yeah, just wanted to go through and show you guys the Tone Zone number 2.